What's up guys, it's GNJ here and I'm doing a review today of these two gaming headsets, pro gaming headsets. The Logitech G35, which I've had and worn extensively for the last 2.5 years, versus the Astro A40s, which I've had for about 2.5 weeks. But in that time I have managed to formulate an opinion on both of them, and I'm going to tell you what I like about them both and what I dislike about them both. The video is going to take two forms, or two phases. One of them is the first part, which is now, is going to be the build quality. We're going to look at the actual physical devices and talk about comfort and stuff like that. And then I'm going to move on to the nuts and bolts, the actual audio tests, where we can compare the both of them, and I'll show you why I'm really disappointed with these guys. So moving on, I'm going to talk about the build quality. So as you can see, now it is a bit of a biased review in that these have been extensively worn, as I've said, and these haven't. So we can't really talk about longevity in terms of the A40s. I can guess where we're going with the A40s, and I will guess. But as for the Logitech G35s, these have been worn extensively. I have pulled these on and off my head thousands of times. I have two small children, so it's very important that I wear a gaming headset every time I game, which is pretty much every night. So these have had a power of abuse. You can see that the synthetic leather, PVC, whatever you want to call it, has completely gone. That went a long time ago, just purely because of the constant pulling off of my head, pulling on and off of my head, should I say. But that said, 2.5 years, I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's too bad. And the actual foam, the material under that is still pretty solid. I reckon I'll probably get another couple of years out of that before that started wearing through to the actual foam. And the top bar as well, it's exactly the same. It's pretty disgusting, but that is gel, hair gel and stuff that's caked up over the years. But they are totally removable. You know, it's Velcro, so you can whip them off, and you can probably purchase yourself a brand new set from Logitech, or maybe you can get them dead cheap from some Chinese website. But I wouldn't recommend that because it'll probably last 5 minutes. Comparing that to the A40s, well, I'm not confident that these ear pads with their thin, scratchy material are going to last any longer than 8 months. I would give that 8 months. Now, I can't obviously say whether they're going to last 8 months or not, but I'm pretty certain that these things aren't going to last as long as the G35s. And it's the same with the top bit as well. I'm guessing that that's not going to last any length of time, especially when you think about sweating. You're in a gaming room, you've got hot equipment on, you do sweat. I sweated a lot in these. These are going to get wet and damp. Same with the head thing, and I'm just not confident that they're going to stand the test of time. I should have probably said at the start, in terms of price, we're looking at a major price difference here, guys. These Logitech G35s are in the shops now for around about 85 quid, 85 pounds. Don't know what that is in dollars, euros, whatever. And these I bought the other day for £200. So there is a huge difference in price. There is a huge difference in features as well, and we'll cover that. In terms of actual comfort, well, in the 2.5 years I've had these, never had a problem with comfort, never complained. I've never thought, oh, these are really uncomfortable. So I guess they must be comfortable for me not to have moaned or complained about it. My ears fit snugly inside there. This is nice and cushioned, and when they're on, they're on. You just don't really notice they're there, other than in the summer where things start to get a little bit hot. But I think that's going to be the same with any over-the-ear gaming headphones. And the same with the A40s. In the 2.5 weeks that I've worn them, I've never complained. They're both about the same in terms of comfort. These are a little bit lighter, so it might actually win in terms of overall comfort, but it's really hard to call. In terms of the microphone, well, I do prefer the mic on the G35. It's fairly solid in there. It is flexible, but it is quite solid, and it's got a great feature where you can mute the microphone. When you just flip that up, you hear a little beep in your headset, and the mic's muted. And it also has a little button on here where you can mute the mic. And one of the things I love about this is when you do mute your mic using this button here, you get a little LED that comes on to show you, which you can see quite clearly from your peripheral vision. You know that your mic's muted, so you're not going to do what I've done quite a lot of times where I've flicked it up, forget that it's actually up there and that no one's hearing me when I'm speaking. The A40s, slightly different story. It's a little bit flimsier, but the good thing about it is replaceable. It does come out, it is on a 3.5 jack, So that you will be able to replace that if it starts to give you problems. Mine already has started to give me problems, if I'm honest. If I move this in any way, if I touch this, I get major crackling, and I'm going to demonstrate that in the actual audio test. So the thing with this is once you've got it adjusted to the position that you want, close to your mouth or wherever, then you pretty much have to leave it alone, otherwise you do get some horrendous feedback. So the other features of the G35, you've got a couple of buttons here which can be programmed for anything, and I found that very useful for switching TeamSpeak channels. The top 3 TeamSpeak channels, I could jump back and forward quite quickly, but you can literally program them for anything. Although I do tend to find that if I need something programmed that I need to access quickly, it needs to be on my mouse. Mute button, and of course you've got the volume control here, which is dead easy to access. You know, you slide your hand up, you can feel it straight away, and you can turn the volume up and down. The A40 is a slightly different story. In terms of muting, you've got this little thing on the cable, which you can slide it down and slide it back up again. It's not quite so obvious when it's on mute because there's no indication, no visual indication, and this is hanging down by your chest, so you know it's not in your peripheral vision. But that says it does the same job. It's you just have to be aware of it. In terms of volume control on the A40, a much better system because you get this MixAmp Pro, and this is a great piece of kit, although it is also causing some problems, and again I'll go over that in the actual audio test. But the actual workings of this thing is great. You've got the large volume control, which controls like master volume, so that'll turn everything up or down. It sits on your desk over to the side wherever you want it, and it's got that kind of matte rubber feeling, so that it's not stuck to your desk, but it's not, you know, it's not easily, it doesn't slide around easily, and the feel is really quality. You know, the volume control is that nice tight feeling. Moving on, and you've got the other mixer down here, the volume mixer, which is really the main reason I bought the A40 gaming headset. The main reason I bought it is because the downside of these, and this is the only downside of the G35, I have to be honest with you, is the fact that when you're wearing this headset, it cancels out all the noise from the room. Now, I suppose that is the whole point of it. You know, they're wanting you to have this surround sound gaming audio experience. You're playing the likes of The Witcher and whatnot, you want to have that, you want to experience the sound of that world, and cancelling out the noise of your real world is probably quite important. But it is difficult if you commentate on videos and you're doing commentary over videos or games as you're playing them, because you can't actually hear yourself speak, and there's nothing built into these that let you hear your own voice through the speakers. You can change a setting in Windows, but there's like a split-second delay between you speaking and you hearing it on the headset. And that's a problem. It just sounds weird. It puts you off. It just like you're tripping yourself up when you hear yourself even if it's a fraction of a second later. So that's the downside of this. That's why I decided to go for these, because this MixAmp allows you to change, to hear your voice within the headset itself and to adjust the volume of that. So your voice comes through digitally, just as it would sound on the recording, and you can, and this is the great part, you can actually adjust your voice input. You can increase your voice and decrease the gain. So if you're doing video commentary, just by turning it, this will increase your voice feedback on the speakers, and it'll lower the actual game audio, which is great for doing videos. Or you can do the opposite. You know, if you're playing a single player game, audio, your voice isn't important. You can just basically switch that straight up, and that will cut your voice out and any audio that's coming through the mic, and just give you pure 100% game audio. So that is a cool feature. Just turning that volume up and hearing yourself crystal clear is brilliant. But as I said, there are some problems with it, and I'll go into that when I talk about when we actually listen to the difference between these two and how they sound. I just want to spend a little bit more time talking about this MixAmp, because this is really the brains. It's kind of like a sound card all on its own. The MixAmp has the on-off switch for your Dolby Surround. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that the whole surround sound thing in headphones doesn't really work that well. I've never really played a game that's blown me away, whereas I have sat in a 7.1 surround sound room and been blown away. But games like The Witcher, for example, I find myself switching the surround sound off because for some reason the dialogue tends to get like echoey and I can't hear it, so I switch that off. But I'm sure there are probably games out there that have been designed for 7.1 and they're probably fantastic. So you've got an on-off switch for that, and you've got your 4 preset voice equalizers, and this is the thing that's given me the most trouble. It changes how your voice sounds on the audio, not in the same way that these do with the Screaming Bee, where you can give yourself silly robot effects and stuff. It just changes the way your actual audio sounds, your vocal sound, and you'll hear that in just a second when we switch to the actual tests. And this isn't actually plugged in. This isn't where I game, by the way. This is my office. I'll be heading back to the gaming room and switching these on so that you can hear the test. So this isn't plugged in, but you've got your optical out. So if you've got a graphics card with an optical cable, optical output for digital sound, you can plug it in there and it works perfectly. And I haven't actually figured out what Stream is. You can plug in something that I guess separates your audio, so that you've got separate audio and video. I don't know. I haven't really explored that yet. It's more the kind of sound aspect that I've been interested in. So there you have it, guys. There's nothing really else to talk about other than the headset on the A40 comes with a 3.5 jack. It's a special one. It's just not your bog standard 3.5 jack. So that can be replaced if you accidentally your dog chews through the cable, or for whatever reason that gets damaged. You can replace it. But I'm not a big fan of these 3.5 jacks because I think every device I've owned that has had a 3.5 jack, I've always got to a stage where I've had to wiggle or half pull it out to get the thing working properly. So we'll see. As I say, we can't really talk about the longevity of these things just yet. Anyway, we're going to move swiftly on to the audio testing.
Okay, so first up I am using the Logitech G35 headset, and I'm going to just say before I go any further that I do realise, I kind of thought about this as I was driving home, that this video is probably geared more towards people who are more concerned about how they sound over YouTube or over a TeamSpeak server, rather than people who are looking for the ultimate sound experience, audio experience. What I would say is, in terms of, I can't obviously let you guys hear what these headsets sound like, but I can say they're both brilliant, and probably in terms of sound, the A40s would probably win on just how good the actual sound is that comes back from the games that you're playing. But anyway, this is more about how I sound, and the G35, as you can hear, is crystal clear. Now when I listen to it back, it is the most it's very close to how I sound in real life. Obviously there is a little bit of digitization going on there, but you're going to get that through any microphone, and that is really all there is to it. The microphone can be anywhere really within the vicinity of your mouth. You don't get that breathing put noise that you sometimes get with microphones if they're a bit too close to your mouth, and there is no additional settings on this. There is no equalizers, there's no other way to change how your voice sounds other than using the gimmicky Screaming Bee built-in thing that comes with the software, but apart from that, this is what you get, and I personally think the audio sounds fantastic. It's really clear. So I'm going to now switch over onto the A40s, and this is really where the fun starts, and hopefully you'll be able to hear exactly what I'm on about and why I have a bit of a problem with these headsets. Okay, so here I am now on the A40s, and you will probably hear a big difference straight away just jumping from the A35s. One of the big things that I instantly dislike is how I sound muffled. It sounds like I've got like a towel around my mouth. It's not as clear as the G35. Also, it does pick up. It doesn't seem to matter where I put the microphone, but if I'm breathing, you pick it up on this microphone, and you also get that put noise, which I find a bit annoying. If I move the microphone further down from my mouth, it doesn't make any difference. I can hear myself breathing when I'm gaming, basically, and I don't get that through the G35. But as I said before,
the main disadvantage of the G35s is I kind of have to have one cup off my ear. I have to take one off just so I can hear myself speaking. Whereas right now, using the MixAmp, I can hear myself perfectly, crystal clear coming through. But I'm also hearing the kind of the air hitting the microphone. So that's one of the things, but the muffledness of how I sound is what really drives me mad. Now there are 4 different presets, equalizer presets on this MixAmp, and there's one of them that does sound very clear, and that does unfortunately come with there is a price to be paid for that clarity, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So the first mode that we're on, the first equalizer mode, is the equalizer mode I'm on now, which is Pro mode. Again, you can hear me breathing. I'm just going to try moving it down slightly. Now this is my other problem I have with it. If I touch the microphone at all, just to move it, I get this insane crackling, which is super annoying. And I'm not actually touching the microphone now, and it's still making that crack. I have to get it into a position, and I have to make sure that I don't actually touch it again. Well, it does seem to be a little bit better if I move the microphone down to around about my chin level. Yeah, you're not hearing the breathing quite so much, but then I'm guessing the audio isn't quite as clear. So the other mode, we've got media mode. Now I can't actually tell the difference between this, so I'm now flicking into the other equalizer mode. That's it on there now. I can't tell the difference. It might be a little bit clearer and less muffled, but it's still pretty muffled. And then we've got the Astro mode. Now this is the best mode in terms of how my voice sounds. It sounds the most clear. And it's this one. It's most clear, and it definitely has a much more crisp sound to it. But what you've probably noticed already is that my voice is fading in and out, because it's got this really bizarre, almost like voice activation like you get in TeamSpeak. Whereas on TeamSpeak you can set the sensitivity. On this you can't seem to set the sensitivity. Well, you just can't set the sensitivity, because I've looked into it. And it seems to be that if you speak in a loud voice and you carry on speaking, it will maintain the volume. But as soon as you start to lower your voice, it will fade in and fade out, and that is super annoying, because I have listened back to videos where actual whole words have been missed out, small words like F and to and all that sort of thing, but it just makes the sentence sound ridiculous. So I've got a real problem with this. I wish so much I could use this without this fade in and fade out crap, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to make any difference. It does seem to help if I move my microphone closer to my mouth, but unfortunately then you get that kind of crispy, wispy and annoying sound, echoey and whatnot. And then the fourth equalizer setting is called Core mode, and again, well, can you actually hear me? I don't know what that's doing. That seems to be it seems to be a mixture of muffled and the fade in and fade out nonsense. So I definitely won't be using that. So if I was going to continue using the A40, I'd have to use it in this mode here, which is the Astro mode. Or I'd have to use it with the Core mode. In fact, it actually sounds like my voice is fading in and out on this mode as well. Just adjust something. Yeah, don't know what that is. That's definitely fading in and out on this mode. Let me just try moving it around to the other modes again. Testing. Fade in, fade out. Fade in, fade out. Yeah, so I don't know what happened there. But it seemed to be that the fading in and fading out had carried over onto the other equalizer modes. So that's it back into Astro mode, which I think is probably the best of a bad bunch, really. And the thing is, it all seems to be the MixAmp that's causing this, because I've read reviews or I've looked at forum posts where people have been complaining about the muffledness, and they've said that if they plug it directly into their PC with the splitter and bypass the MixAmp altogether, they get a crystal clear audio. So yeah, I'm not really sure what this MixAmp is, why it's doing it. I don't think it's a problem on the older versions, because I have watched YouTube reviews on the A40 where they've been using the older ones, and they certainly haven't been able to replicate this muffled sound. So in terms of sound quality, really I'm not impressed or should I say sound output quality, I'm really not impressed with the A40s, and I think for that reason and that reason alone, I'm going to have to look at a different alternative. It's a shame because I love the MixAmp, I love the ability to fade my voice in and out in my headset. So I will look at other alternatives. I do believe you can use other headsets with this MixAmp or with another MixAmp, because there's clearly no point in using this MixAmp and getting that muffled effect. So there you go, guys. You can hear it yourself. What I'm going to now do, I know this has been a bit of a long video, but if you're a boffin, you'll probably appreciate the level of detail I've gone into on this. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play you a couple of clips of videos that I recorded with in-game footage in the background and great in-game noise. One with the G35 and the second one with the new A40. So the first one you'll hear will be, the first clip you'll hear will be with the G35s, and the second ones will be with the A40s. So I hope this has been helpful. If you've got any comments, tips, or any recommendations you want to make for me, because I want to get a headset that makes me sound normal and like me in game when I'm doing YouTube videos, and also ones where I can actually hear my own voice through the headphones, through the speaker cups. So if you want to leave any comments, please do. I really would appreciate it. And many thanks for tuning in and staying with me for so long.
Afternoon, guys. You've just joined me. I've just started a mission. I've gotten a little bit bored of using the CCG Staba and Peg combo over the last fortnight.
Yeah, a little bit too accurate for a handgun at that range, and a non-miss with the... So there he is there.